Hey everybody, I'm Mike, a drummer by trade and a songwriter by choice. And today we're going to take a quick look at the Nolly Bass plugin from Get Good Drums. To get it out of the way, I'm not affiliated with Get Good in any form or fashion at this point, although I do use a lot of their products or anything that Nolly slaps their name on. In this particular project, we're going to be using the Invasion set of samples, which is the one I primarily use for my own demos. And anything else in this project is going to be virtual instruments. So I just wanted to also show you the power of some of the virtual MIDI instruments and what you can achieve with your demos, including using Get Good. So first we're gonna listen through about 2 minutes of a song that I've put together as a little demo for both the clean and distorted tones. I'll show you around my project and just a couple of the basics about what I did to change the Get Good sounds to fit this particular demo. And at the end, I'm gonna show you just the basic workflow that I came up with for working with this to finish a small section of a song, which you can, as you can tell right here, is one of the few sections in the entire song where there is no bass yet, which means we're gonna do it live. All right, so let's first listen through the song and I'll come back and we'll chat about what we're gonna do next. So as you can hear, one thing that I really picked up on that I hadn't noticed until I listened through it just now was there's even some of the string buzz that you have, especially with the super low strings on a bass. It's actually kind of nice to hear in a plugin for once, some imperfections. But the different things going on in this song, I think, really lend itself well to showing off what this plugin is capable of. So just to walk through my basic setup here, again, we have two different instances of Nolly Bass loaded into Contact 7, which you do need in order to use most of the new Get Good Drums software, to my understanding. You might have to research a little more which plugins require Contact 7, but they have really good support and information on their site about that. Kept the clean tone fairly straightforward, just basically right at noon, maybe just a little roll off on the sub. That was probably by accident, if we're being honest. And just the stock riffer logic, because I can't lie to y'all, I'm not a bassist. I could probably watch what they're playing here and tell that it's a little bit ridiculous, but without it being tuned the same way that the sixth string in this song is tuned, which is AGCFAD, by the way, it's just gonna look like they're doing some crazy fret dancing. For the distorted tones, I definitely scooped it a fair bit more. Or scooped is probably not the right term. I boosted the sub bass a fair bit more because I just don't have enough of that in my mixes, and it's nice to just have a separate knob just for that. But I did find that the mids to highs were a little bit more than I was looking for, especially with the way they were playing with the distorted guitar tone. And so I rolled those off a little bit after some experimentation. It's just how I liked it sounding. Again, stock riffer logic. I couldn't really tell a huge difference tonally. If I knew more mechanically about the bass, I'd probably experiment with the different things. But for now, we're just going to stick with that. And I didn't do any string position overrides or anything that crazy. I just don't think people are going to notice that much of a difference. And again, this is just a demo. In terms of the rest of the plugins, again, I'm a Nolly stan, so I have Archetype Nolly by Neuro DSP, which came out a good little while ago. It's the only guitar plugin that I own, and honestly, I don't think I need anything else for what I do. Archetype Nolly is on both instances of Solemn Tones, the Odin 2, which, hint, hint, get good, I would really love if you guys would make a guitar plugin, because while I like this, I think there are things that you guys could maybe improve upon. All right, so coming back to the section that we needed to finish. Number one, I hadn't really decided if I wanted it to be clean or distorted, so we can kind of compare the two. And also, this first half is already done, but I need to go through and decide what I'm going to do with the second half. So like any good musician, I'm first going to take what I do already know is finished and just copy and paste it down to here. With any of the solemn tone stuff, there is separate articulation MIDI notes that you use, which is a similar story here, except it's for play this riff on this string, not necessarily play the bass this particular way. So what we're going to do first is get rid of the articulation lines, and we're obviously not going to play all of these notes up here, so we're going to delete all of those. And next I'll show you one of the things that I do think that they failed to mention, unless it was just not mentioned in the walkthrough that I watched from Nolly, which is the dead note articulation that you can trigger using velocities, which I do think speeds up the workflow a fair bit. It's something I've seen in similar plugins since I've used quite a few of them. So we'll just listen to how that sounds like straight out of the gate, which there's some basic drums and I can work on those later, but let's just take a listen to this. All right, we'll come back to that second half in a minute. And by in a minute, I'm sure it'll be a few minutes because I have to figure out what I'm going to do there. But to hone in on what I was talking about with the articulations that you can adjust using velocities. So in this riff, as you can hear, and we'll just isolate guitar and bass together for right now. We'll do a good example of this where you can use dead notes in this, but I may not use them as much as I would normally, but we're showing off what this can do. So for the quicker notes that are, I would say, more palm muted than dead noted, I still think I want to try and see what that sounds like on dead notes. You'll be able to hear it when I take this from 100 down to 1, which is where the most aggressive dead notes live. As we go from 1 to 9, it's very faint, but you can still hear it. So I think we'll stick with something like 2 or 3. Yeah, because it's a clean section. I still think I might want to try distorted bass in a minute. I do really think I want to stick with distorted. It makes sense because we've gone from alternate picking or just probably straight down picking in this section on a clean tone to more of the distorted tone when some bigger chords happen. Okay. So I'm going to spend a few minutes trying to figure out what I want to do here. Probably not going to include this in the video.
A few moments later.
I think I've covered most of what I wanted to in this video, just some little details that I appreciated. But as a songwriter, I really appreciate especially what they've done to make this very streamlined and easy for me to use. And it sounds really good out of the box. There's a couple of tweaks to make it sound like you might want to as a novice, as I am. And I will leave us with the section that we worked on during the video recording and maybe a little bit extra just for a little extra spice. And I think that's going to be it. Thanks for watching. Keep writing, keep recording, keep creating. See ya.